Good morning, Birkus Nation, and good evening, SMF. If you're here for the fest and aren't already familiar with my old series Amalgamation, I suggest you take a break and invest your time into someone else's presentation. There's a lot of people who deserve the extra attention. If you are familiar with Amalgamation and just want an answer to this video's title instead of me yapping for 15 minutes, I'll just give you a quick answer. I stopped enjoying making Amalgamation, so I decided to make a bunch of stuff I enjoyed more, but I still want to return to Amalgamation eventually and remake it from scratch. If I don't have the energy for it, I'll either make a video explaining what the plot would have been or let someone I trust make the series themselves. Don't expect anything for like another year. That was a pretty good summary, but if you've heard me mention this topic before, you know there's a bit more to it. The pinned comment in the last Amalgamation episode said I'd finished the season after my exams in May of 2023, which was the first of many poorly aged statements I've made on if and when the series would be coming back. This video will attempt to explain why my thoughts and words have been so inconsistent over the years, both for the sake of Birkus Nation's most dedicated citizens and for my own. Sometimes you need to take a step back, assess all that's happened, and get a clear picture of why things are the way that they are. That's why I made a 48-page document giving advice to future SMF hosts, and that's why I made this. Without further ado, Amalgamation will always be near and dear to my heart. After years of watching mapping, I finally came up with an idea for my very own series, something that has literally only happened twice. Things were fine at the start, I had a few other responsibilities as I always do, but Amalgamation was front and centre. I initially planned for season 1 to be 8 episodes long, but my dedication to making the episodes around 15 minutes each meant I split 2 of them up. Both episodes 4 and 5 and episodes 6 and 7 had 4-month waits, partly because I uploaded them in pairs and partly because I had an idea to make this really elaborate video for April Fool's Day. This would not be the last time I had this idea. The summer of 2022 was when the cracks really started to show. I started making a video essay on 4-player chess that I didn't even finish until a year later, and then pivoted to making one in a fun web series I just found. These were so fun to make, and as you can probably tell by now, I prefer working on fun things because otherwise I work on nothing at all. That's part of why I made Congo's Finest Hour and why there was a 9-month gap between episodes 7 and 8. Obviously, as mentioned in my end of year channel update, me being busy with my studies affected things, but as mentioned in my end of year channel update, this applies to literally every mapper. I also said that doing the last 3 episodes of Amalgamation Season 1 would be my next focus, and then didn't upload any new content until Click 2 in April. The final episode of Amalgamation to date, episode 8, was uploaded a week later, after several months of slowly working on it. Episode 8 was the first episode I properly struggled to make. Why, I'm not entirely sure, but I was definitely feeling discouraged by how hard planning the series beyond season 1 was, how high expectations were for the series, and the allure of my much less stressful other projects. Episode 9 was that, but dialed up to 11. Except it's 9. So I'm not sure why I made that metaphor specifically, but this is unscripted. Let's get back to the script. I haven't really been open about this until recently, but I actually wrote most of the script for that. It was a slow process, even slower than episode 8, but I persisted for the sake of what was supposed to be my flagship series. I'd like to bring up at this point that I'm a huge archivist and rarely delete anything I make. If I wanted to grab frame 70 from the Amalgamation prologue that I made over 4 years ago, I could go to the Discord server it's stored in and do it. Here it is. The script for the Divine Intervention trailer I had planned to show at SMF 2023 before delaying it for an entire year because I couldn't manage a single line of dialogue. Here you go. There's more left of this than there is of the script for Amalgamation 9 because, as you might have guessed, I read over it one day, felt it wasn't good enough and just wiped it from existence. An irrational move in retrospect, sure, but it was pretty clear regardless that I couldn't do this anymore. I had a new idea for a fun, light-hearted AFOE and, more importantly, a grand plan to take a disgraced series and make something brand new out of it. The old guard, with one exception, was dead. Safety Check only existed because a mapper I liked was going to make a series I thought sounded cool and then quit mapping, so it was an easy sacrifice to make. I quickly realised after starting work on the 3rd video essay that making them alongside my mapping projects wasn't sustainable, and ever since I've just had this growing pile of ideas that I want to put to use once I'm done with mapping. Glasnost, well, Avarixine stopped being able to do 2 channels at once, Wicked stopped being able to do 2 series at once, and we stopped working on the collab partway into the frames being made for episode 10. I've had a couple conversations with Wicked and a new third collaborator about bringing it back. The next few episodes have been planned scene by scene since early 2023, and it's still something I care about finishing eventually, even as a solo series if I must. And Amalgamation? Well, I wasn't really willing to let go of it so easily. Neither were some of its fans. As I mentioned before, I've given this question a lot of different answers. I'll wrap up this season of Amalgamation after my exams in early May. Not sure. Weird state, I haven't touched it in like a month. I've no idea as of now, haven't worked on it much. I hate to be a doomer, but it's not happening anytime soon. Don't force yourself into working on something you don't like working on. At one point, I gained some level of clarity and said, I've given like 10 answers to this question and they've all been wrong, so I have no idea. I then proceeded to give more wrong answers. Amalgam is coming. I have a year, I'll be fine. I feel a lot better about being able to make 15-minute episodes now. I'll try and find time for it between now and September. Amalgam is my child, I'm not giving up on it just yet. So where exactly is Amalgamation on your priority list? The end of it. Thinking about cancelling Amalgamation. I'm sorry, I just don't enjoy making that series anymore. Got bored of it. Might go back to it someday. I don't think I'll make a final decision until Irene is out. Not sure if I'm going to cancel it yet. I'm having way more fun working on Reunited and Divine Intervention. I've tried going back to it a couple times and I just haven't really been able to latch onto it. Working on Divine Intervention 3 in Natalia has had the opposite effect of how with Amalgamation. Probably never. I'll confirm if it's cancelled or not after Irene. We'll see after part 1 of the Divided West finale. I'm going to try and revive it sometime this summer. If I'm not able to, the series will be cancelled and I'll do a video going over what the plot would have been. Had a dream I started remaking Amalgamation, but for whatever reason I decided to make Russia one of the World War III losers and spent a stupid amount of time trying to determine how much of Siberia they should own. I didn't like making it. I didn't like reading it. I'll just do an update video where I talk about how much I don't enjoy working in Amalgamation. Hey, wait a minute, I had it all figured out in 2023. What? These statements paint a pretty clear picture, but not a full one by any means. The reason I've been so inconsistent is because I've made multiple plans to bring the series back. Let's start by talking about the elephant in the room, Southeast Asia. Through their appearances as a fairly important character throughout Reunited, Amalgamation has in some small way been kept alive on my channel. They showed up as this deus ex machina to fix the Afghanistan subplot, to explain how the world of the United saga was brought back from being frozen in time, and to give Lazio and his buddies the means to defeat Hera. And everyone just kind of accepted them showing up, probably because of the meta reasoning, and it also helped that people unfamiliar with Amalgamation could pretty easily get that, oh, this is a character from an advanced United world. I've had Reunited fans ask what Southeast Asia's world is like, which is pretty amusing, but anyways, this is barely a spoiler anymore, so I'm going to just say it outright. The season 1 finale of Amalgamation would have revealed that the multiverse had been discovered a few decades prior. Some of the provinces had been privately living in existential dread, and those refugees in Italo-Iberia from episode 2 were from another dimension. This would have explained Southeast Asia's travels that they talked to Indochina about, and I had hoped that tying Amalgamation into Reunited like this would give me the motivation to finish those last 2 episodes before putting out Reset. That didn't happen, so I then hoped that I would have the motivation to quickly put out the episodes right after Reset, so I could be like, see, that's why Southeast Asia shows up, I had this plan from the start. That also didn't happen. It was around last summer that I actually had a look at my plans for the series as well as the old episodes, and I kind of realised that I'd much rather remake the series from scratch. The early episodes are fine, I don't think they're bad videos or anything, but my standards have improved a whole lot in the years since. I started timing all my scripts to music starting with Reset because it was what Astral did for his videos and I ended up getting hooked. I also had another idea to spice up the series and make it a bit more exciting to make this time around, but it would take a lot of time and effort, so I came up with yet another grand plan. April 1st, 2025 was a Tuesday, and I wanted to premiere Irene on a weekend so more people would show up to the premiere. Given my track record with April Fool's videos, I probably wouldn't have the video finished by then anyway. What if I were to do a fake out premiere, opening with Southeast Asia and Reunited talking to Indochina, and then they start talking about the history of their own world, and boom, it's episode 1 of the Amalgamation remake, April Fools. Tragically, this legendary fake out was not meant to be, although it was more of a time constraints issue than a motivation issue this time. You can probably tell that from Irene releasing on April 30th. I had a pretty good idea on what actually to do with the series once Irene came out, that being give the remake a proper attempt. If it's not working out, either make a video revealing what the plot would have been or allow someone else to make or continue the series themselves. The latter option is less likely, as I'm not sure who would be interested, and there are very few mappers I would actually trust to be able to finish a whole series. If it weren't clear, that's what Moldavia is implying at the end of Irene. You at least deserve to know what I was cooking up. So, where does that leave us now? Am I going to make a final decision this summer? The answer to that is the same as the one for, am I going to make a final decision when Irene comes out, which is no. I'm not. The main reason is divine intervention, which I would like to be my main focus for the next year. There's like 8 or so episodes I'd like to do before premiering the finale, next SMF, to make up for this year's lackluster performance, and my video for April Fools next year, which will hopefully not release in like June, will be part of the I and Assistant's final arc. Between that, like 4 secret projects I'm working on at the moment, overseeing Red Agenda, maybe Glasnost as well, and the actual real life job I'm starting, I just don't think trying to do Amalgamation will work right now. Waiting until next summer, when everything's clearer, to give the series one last attempt 5 years after it originally premiered seems like the best move. I think it'd be quite poetic to mark the end of my mapping career with the same 3 series I started with: Red Agenda, Glasnost, and Amalgamation. And if that fails, well, you already know what I'll resort to. I hope that this clears up all the ambiguity I've had lying around, and I look forward to being able to just forward this video to anyone who's asking what's up with the series. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got an eye that needs to be woken up. Good night, Birkus Nation.